All right. Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and welcome to a live discussion with myself and my special guest, EYEOFSO'Ls. Say hello.
Hello, hello.
And we will be discussing the current climate, the controversy and scandals that have been plaguing Hollywood, sexual harassment scandals, sexual assault scandals, ranging from Harvey Weinstein to smaller people like Andy Signore. Well, I guess not really smaller, but like not as big Hollywood types, but like Andy Signore, and of course Chris Savino, who recently has been accused of sexually harassing various women. Um, so yeah, and keep in mind, this is an open discussion. Every opinion will be heard, and we will be reading your comments and questions and all that stuff. And me and Soul, we're actually gonna be talking back and forth as well. I have some things I want to discuss with her in regards to the whole Loud House debacle. In fact, the reason I even made the video yesterday and why we're making the video today is because of Soul. I was on Twitter yesterday, just perusing, reading my tweets, and then I saw her tweet about the Loud House, and it set me off a little bit. So I asked her for more information. She gave it to me, and now here we are. Soul, you want to chime in on anything?
Well, I just want to preface this whole discussion that we're going to be talking about by saying that this is not a particular attack on anyone. This is not an attack on Chris Savino, on Harvey Weinstein, on anybody in the entertainment industry. It's not an attack on men. It's not an attack on women. It's not an attack on anyone. This is just a discussion about this topic. Okay, so we are not witch hunting anyone. We are not singling out anybody. We're just talking about the topic itself. So if you get triggered or upset by what we're talking about, or you feel there's a lack of evidence, that's not what this is about. We're just talking about harassment and abuse in the entertainment industry. Okay? Okay.
Exactly. Another thing I think I need to answer for myself, I read some of the comments on my video, and a lot of people were saying how I basically didn't provide any information or sources or like something to back me up. Keep in mind that, again, I stated in that video, it wasn't a personal attack. It was just from my standpoint, from what I've been seeing, I started getting worried. And I even mentioned in the video that so far these are just allegations and accusations. There's no hard-hitting proof that Chris Savino has done it. You have people making claims. And one has made one claim that is pretty, that it rubbed me, not rubbed me the wrong way as in I'm mad at her, but it rubbed me the wrong way, like, ooh, that I kind of see where she's coming from. Like, did you see the whole BoJack Horseman director who said that she was sexually harassed by Chris Savino when she was like 20 years old?
Yes.
And so that one really, like, because I never saw anyone prevalent or anyone saying exactly what he did, and she came out and said something, and I go, oh shit, well then there's some proof right there. But right now it's an ongoing investigation. These are allegations and accusations, but it doesn't really even matter, because it's the antithesis, or not antithesis, it's a small segment of a much larger problem that has always existed in Hollywood. And I hate that. I don't know about you, Soul, but I've always hated how I swept it under the rug. You remember back in 2014 when X-Men Days of Future Past was about to come out, and then somebody came out making allegations against Bryan Singer for sexually assaulting him when he was younger, and they had these parties where they would bring in young boys, and it caused a hoopla for a while. But do we ever talk about it anymore? No, it's just swept under the rug, and we don't,
Yeah. Well, that's kind of, it's sort of indicative of Hollywood and the entertainment industry in general's attitude towards this sort of thing, in that it's just, the way it's seen is, it's bad, but it's just something you have to get used to, because the people who are in power in the entertainment industry, they will abuse that power to the point where they just, they don't see anybody as equal humans when you're up at the top. You're in the upper echelon of the entertainment industry, so you're allowed to do whatever you want. So the stories break, And it's like, oh my God, oh no, these women and men who got, sexually assaulted or harassed by someone. Oh no, how is this going to affect the box office? How is this going to affect the opening weekend? That kind of stuff. It's like, how about how it affects the people, the victims, So maybe people will talk about that for a day or two, but of course then something else will break because nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to. So when these stories break, everyone's like, oh no, how terrible, thoughts and prayers, blah, blah. And then a week later, it just is gone in favor of, oh, look, that actress is pregnant. Woo! And then everybody, freaks out about that. So.
It reminds me a lot about how we handle mass shootings in America too.
Yeah.
Like there's a big hoopla, we talk about it a little bit, and then we just move on to another thing. And we don't address the core problem of what we need to do in order to fix it. We just kind of sweep it under the rug.
Yeah. Well, everyone's all so fast to get up in arms emotionally about it, but they're not willing to do anything about it. So
exactly.
Yeah, and to be fair, most people don't have the power to do anything about it. The power to do something about it is to be honest and tell people what happened. But it's very difficult to do that for some people. Some people, women and men, it doesn't matter, they can't come out and talk about it. With men, I understand. It's harder to talk about for men, I think, than it is for women. I can't say from experience, but it's like, with, let's say a man was sexually assaulted by a woman, if you said that to your man friends or whatever, it's like, so this woman came and she touched my penis, everyone would be like, sweet, oh yeah, you got some. Whereas if a woman came and said a man touched my vagina, everyone would be like, oh my God, you have to go to the police. Yeah. So with men, I kind of see that what you don't like being sexually assaulted by a woman kind of thing.
It's interesting that you bring up this double standard. I was actually talking to my best friend Patrick, who I will be doing a live show after this one about more topics in range of how sexual assault and accusations differ between the genders. But I gave him this example because a couple of years ago, there was this restaurant that we used to go to a lot. It was a Chinese buffet. And they got a new owner. And while we were eating there and stuff, he would come by and say hi to us. And then when we're about to leave, right, we're all just joking and messing around. And he was like kind of in the group. And then he smacks my ass, like smack. And then all my friends, they started laughing. It was like, oh my God, Tony, he smacked your ass and stuff. And I was like, dude, the fuck, what is this guy doing touching me? And it irritated me, but I honestly didn't think much of it. He yesterday told me, he's like, you know what, that kind of reminds me of like that time that guy smacked you in the ass. He kind of, he sexually harassed you in a sense. And I'm like, well, I never really thought of it that way. And I never really saw it. But it brought up an interesting question. We laughed when I got smacked in the ass, but let's say it was one of our friends that was a girl. Mm-hmm. Say it was somebody that was really close to us. If he smacked her in the ass, would we have laughed at that? Or would we been like, the fuck are you doing, dude? Yeah. And we would actually be more aggressive against him and maybe even call him out on that stuff. So
that's what I mean, is that I can understand if it's more difficult for men to talk about it, because that's why people are so quick to blame women, because women being sexually assaulted or harassed by men is just automatically seen as bad, just automatically. But with men, there's always like, oh, but maybe he liked it,
Maybe he had his penis got hard,
Yeah, exactly. So I do feel for everyone who has to talk about this kind of stuff. But yeah, so I mean, it sucks to say, but sexual harassment and abuse stories are like cockroaches. It's like if you see one, there's about 1,000 that you're not seeing. But the important thing about this, I actually read a comment on the video you posted last night. Somebody put a very interesting comment on there amidst all the other comments, and he said that this run of sexual harassment cases coming out, it's a lot like throwing up. It's a lot like throwing up, is that it's unpleasant in the moment, but it's necessary to get all the toxic stuff out of your body. And it's like, well, there you go. So the world collectively needs to purge all this out of their system. They need to get it out into the open, and whoops, and they need to just get it out of their system until it stops being normal to internalize all of this poison, because it's just, yeah, it's so insanely common for this type of thing to happen in the entertainment industry because
and for so long too, and for so long.
Because the people who are in charge of the entertainment industry, they know they can get away with it because it's such a difficult thing to talk about that there's a very good chance that nobody will talk about it. They'll just keep it inside. So yeah, it may be annoying to people when someone comes out and it seems like there's no evidence, but nobody wants to be in this argument with people. Nobody wants to be in this situation. So why would they make it up? There are some nuts out there who will make this shit up. I get it, but you can't let a few lone idiots speak for the entire population of victims. It's not fair.
It's true. That is true. But also keep in mind that it only takes a few rotten apples to fuck up the bunch too, you know?
Exactly.
And that's what I think that's my biggest problem with situations like this. Because there's always somebody who sees this as a golden opportunity to get the spotlight and they ruin it for everybody. I want to hear actual people who have been in situations like this. I want to fix the problem. When you come out and try to bandwagon on the situation, that's why I was really cautious to believe the article from Cartoon Brew. When I read it first, I thought it was just bandwagoning just to get the clicks, just to get the spotlight and try to ruin somebody else's career in the process. And I didn't like that. I don't appreciate that. But when more people started confronting this, people who have been working in the industry, have validation in the industry, then I'm like, okay, well, now here we go. Now I'm starting to see the truth, you know? But all based on one article, I couldn't just buy it. That's why I had to wait for a while to make the video.
I just want to say this comment on the chat here. I think he didn't do it since there's no evidence. You do realize that being fired from Nickelodeon is the evidence. So you're not allowed to fire someone under false allegations if it hasn't been proven. Obviously, Nickelodeon has found evidence to back up. They've
had evidence for years and just never did anything about it. I mean, it's the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. You know, they knew. Like everyone wants to pretend like they didn't know Harvey was doing this. They knew. They just didn't. They wanted to save face, so they shut up about it.
Yeah.
But now that it's all coming, now that the dirt is coming to the light, now in order to save their face, they excommunicate the dirt, because now it's relevant. Instead of doing it before the shit hit the fan, they want to do it now. Now that the shit has hit the fan, you know.
Yeah. I was going to say something. And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
No, that's okay. I was just like, what was I going to say?
You said that getting him fired was the proof. Yeah,
exactly. So let's say I was at work and I went up. I work in a job with all guys. Okay, I'm the only woman there, which is kind of the way it goes usually with me. But anyway, what if I just went up to my boss and I said, "Oh, my coworker, he touched my ass." It's like, okay. So they would say, "Do you have any proof to back this up?" I might tell them some story, and it's like, well, that's not proof, so we can't do anything about it. And if they didn't find any proof eventually, I could be fired for saying something like that because it's making false allegations against someone and trying to ruin their job. But if they found evidence enough to say that, yes, we don't want you working here anymore, they will fire you. They will fire the person who has had these claims against them. So that is the evidence. Obviously, just because not the general public isn't privy to all the information doesn't mean Nickelodeon or the Academy of Arts and Sciences or Motion Arts and Sciences don't have more information than you. So just because you don't know it doesn't mean that there isn't proof.
And do keep in mind, I see Prog Rock. Was it Prog Rock dude that you were trying to answer? Well, he's commenting a lot, but Prog Rock dude, keep in mind, one of the hardest things to go to trial about, one of the hardest things to get a conviction on is sexual harassment and assault, because there isn't a lot of proof. There's a lot of he said, she said in that. And that's why it is very hard to prosecute cases like it. And sometimes people will not like it because it's always going to be 50-50. People will be on the guy's side. People will be on the women's side. And it's really hard because keep in mind, a lot of these allegations, the people that are making these claims said that this happened years ago. The woman, the director for BoJack Horseman, said that she was sexually harassed by him 15 years ago, back in the early 2000s. So no one really had smartphones, or no one really got like microphones to really tap. And keep in mind, who really knew about Chris Savino? You know, it's the small problem that festered into a big one because nobody thought anything of it, and now here we are with this bigger problem. And to see that he's risen to a much higher status. He was a in between artist, a background artist, and all that stuff on bigger shows, but he wasn't a big presence. And I'm guessing here's my theory, because he wasn't such a big name. When people, I'm thinking that people came up to Nickelodeon HR and said, "Hey, this guy is sexually harassing us," and they're like, "Who is it?" And they said, "Oh, it's Chris Savino." It's like, who? That doesn't matter, because he wasn't such a big name. They didn't treat it as a serious offense, and because he couldn't shine, like it wasn't something that was gonna be really huge impact on the studio. They decide, you know what, it's not a big problem, so why should he even bother? So, but now that he's a creator of one of the biggest shows on Nickelodeon, and this is now coming to light, and it reflects on the studio, now they want to excommunicate it. They want to take it out. You were going to say something, so?
I was just going to say, I don't know if that's, I can't say for sure, but in Nickelodeon's statement, they said that or Viacom's statement, they said that they've always been committed to taking these claims seriously. So I don't think it matters about the stature of the person. I'm just saying, I have no evidence of that.
I think, but don't you think that that's something that they say just, again, to save face? They say that now. But had they followed it through years ago, maybe this wouldn't have been a problem.
Maybe they just couldn't talk about it.
I feel like since they were put to the flame, now it's like being tortured. It's like people want to hear them say what they want them to say. So now Nickelodeon is just saying what they know people want them to say. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Remember that part of the allegations against Chris Savino in particular is that he threatened blacklisting in the industry if the people that he abused talked at all. So that could be another reason why it went quiet for so long, because getting blacklisted in the industry is so easy that it's just scary. Like, you could do the one tiniest wrong thing and you're done. Like, I did background acting for a while, and there was a clause in my contract that basically said that if you don't show up for one gig, like if you fuck up and don't show up for one gig, that's it. You don't get any more jobs from your agency whatsoever, and you won't be able to get to another industry. So if you're in an accident or something like that, or you get food poisoning or something, well, fuck you. You know, don't try and work in the industry again for the rest of your life.
I did not know you did background. I did not know you did background acting and stuff. You mean like voice acting or live action acting?
Both, actually, but no, like I did, extra work, sort of like I was on Riverdale and some.
I saw that actually.
Yeah, like independent.
I did not know that was the case.
Yeah,
it's such. You miss one day.
Yeah, well, I mean, they might not enforce it, but it was there, so yeah, like it's such a cutthroat, insane agent or industry to get into. The part that frightens me about this whole situation, like I said, their sexual harassment claims are like cockroaches, is that Chris Savino has always been somebody who I respected as a creator because he's contributed to lots of my favorite cartoons. I'm not denouncing his work as a cartoon creator or as a creator in general. I'm not demonizing him as a person necessarily. I'm upset about his actions because he obviously took advantage of his situation to hurt other people, which is very upsetting because nobody should use their power and advantageous situations to hurt people. But anyway.
No, I agree. And it's disheartening because, I mean, this is a man who's made probably one of the most progressive shows without having to be preachy about it. That's all about unity and family and friendship. A show that is mainly focused on female characters. The majority of the characters in the Loud House are female. Yeah, sure, Lincoln Loud is the main character, but he always interacts with a sister or sisters. And he was raised by women. That's what he based the show on. To think a man like this would commit sexual harassment, it's baffling to me, you know?
Yeah, to finish the point I was making before, though, I just wanted to say that in this whole situation, it's upsetting because how long is it going to be until some other person who I respect is going to come out and turn out to be, you know, like some sort of, is like an abuser, you know, or have done something, everybody's done something shitty. Yeah, everybody's done something shitty in the past, okay? It's just the way people are. But I'm just saying, like, how long is it before somebody I have so much respect for comes out and says, oh yeah, 20 years ago I like fucked a woman and didn't, you know, like I raped a woman. It's like, what? You know, you can never judge a character to that point, and it's very sad because, you know, the animation industry is already so intensely antagonistic towards women, in terms of getting them into higher, you know, like higher paying jobs and stuff like that. That's why it was such a big deal when Rebecca Sugar created Steven Universe, because it's like, wow, Cartoon Network, you've been around for how long, and this is your first show created by a woman? Wow, that kind of thing. So it's rare to see a woman creator. They're usually, yeah.
Well, now we're seeing more now, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Like, isn't the creator of no, that's a guy. The creator of Star versus the Forces of Universe or Forces of Evil, was that a girl or a guy?
She's a woman. Yep.
Yeah, we got her. I feel like there was another one.
A lot of girl shows are created by girls. So like
Lauren Foss.
She's
doing, you know, big with the My Little Pony and stuff.
I'm talking like shows that are not strictly for girls, though, because lots of girls create girl shows. You know, nowadays you wouldn't see a girl creating something like Gravity Falls or Adventure Time or whatever. Those types of cartoons seem to be reserved for men, which is really annoying. So it's like, oh, you could write Brace Face well because you're a girl and you understand about being a teenage girl. But ooh, if you want to write some sort of action adventure series, well, you can go fuck yourself.
Well, I do think we're seeing a big shift in the industry now, and with this whole like sexual assaults, sexual harassments coming to light, we're starting to purge the old ways out of the industry and embrace some new ways.
But as long as we keep talking about it, if we don't let it slide back into the shadows, if we don't keep internalizing all this crap, then we'll be able to make progress. If we just, it's like, if we keep the pressure on, then change will happen. But if people are content to say there's no evidence, just completely stonewall the whole situation like they've been doing for ages, then we won't make any change. There won't be any progress. And that's frustrating because, again, this is a super hard topic to talk about. So people are going to keep, so not only is there gender politics in it, but there's also the whole, you know, squeamishness about shame and everything like that people don't want to talk about. There's the lack of actual physical proof most of the time that makes it hard to talk about too. It's mostly on hearsay because you can't have evidence for some of these things. Sometimes the story is just the evidence, like you said.
It's hard to prove.
Yeah, so the lack of proof, the gender politics, the shame side of it, talking about sex and everything like that, it just makes it so hard to talk about. And also the mental illness and the emotional trauma side of it makes it even more difficult. But if you just are like, well, change has never ever been achieved by sitting around and doing nothing about something. Change is hard, but you have to all be willing to do it, or else nothing will happen.
Agreed. But I think could you make the argument that we are seeing this change? I mean, it's been almost a month since the allegations about Harvey Weinstein has come to light, and we're still having this discussion. I feel like we're going to be having this discussion until the very end of this year, maybe even towards into the next year. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if the Academy even addresses it in the Oscars next year. I feel like this isn't something that's going to be swept away so easily, is what I'm trying to say. I feel like there is a big push, there is a big change, and even in this very divisive climate in America. I know you live in Canada, but in America, you know, we're starting to see this major push for change. There's a pushback, you know. We're not going to let people like, I'm going to get people to get angry at me, but we're not going to let people like Donald Trump represent the ideals of America. That's why there's such a huge pushback. That's why so many people are talking against him, why we're calling him out, because there is this pushback. And then, this might sound weird too, but I'm kind of glad that we elected Donald Trump. The reason for that is because now we actually can see people striving to make change, even under a rule, under somebody that feels differently about certain things. You know, more topics are being brought up to the forefront. More topics are being brought up to the light, and I'm happy for this. But I want to touch on something that I saw a lot of people talking about already, and I want to actually talk about it too. So what really got this ball rolling for myself was that you made a comment on Twitter saying that you were no longer going, or you weren't going to be reviewing the Loud House anytime soon because of the situation that's been going on. So my question to you is, and something that I've always thought hardly about, should we separate the art from the artists? Mm-hmm. Should we think of Loud House as its own entity instead of being a part of Mr. Savino and what he has done?
So,
and what do you think about the future of the Loud House too because of this scandal? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so I don't, like I said, the cartoon is not at fault. No movie, cartoon, music, whatever, nothing is ever at fault just because it came from the hand of someone who has done something bad in the past, you know, abused people, harassed people, whatever. The reason I said that is not because I'm upset at the cartoon. I'm upset with Chris Savino because, like I said, I respected him, and it turns out he's done these terrible things to people, and it's more personal than that because the way that he took advantage of people by harassing them and abusing them and saying that, well, if you tell someone I'm going to blacklist you from the industry, is extremely personal to me because something similar has, or almost exactly the same, has happened to me. And it's so I couldn't, in all good faith, review the Loud House and do it honestly without this anger and bias getting into it, because I'd be trying to talk about the positives of the show, which I don't know how many there are. I've never really seen it before.
Thousands
okay.
Of positives.
Well, let's just say if I had thousands of good things to say about it, how could I, in all honesty and in good faith, say them without thinking, but without punctuating every sentence with, but it would have been better if it hadn't been created by this man, that kind of thing. So I'm just saying the pain of the situation is too close for me to consider it for review now. That's why I said anytime soon, because it might fade in the future. Maybe something positive will come out of this. Maybe they'll get a new creative director for it, and things will be great. I'm not saying it'll be negative all the time. I'm just saying it's too soon and too close now. But in general, I do feel that separating the art from the artist is important, because think of how many of Alfred Hitchcock's movies are great, and think of how abusive of a director he was. Yeah,
and that was a secret Hollywood kept for many years too, until it was brought to light years after he died. So
yeah, so that's what I'm saying, is that you could still enjoy the movies, because you can still enjoy the movies, the cartoons, music, video games, whatever, because it's like blaming a child for the sins of the parent, that kind of thing. It's not fair.
Child.
Yeah, it's not fair. So I do think that separating the art from the artist is important. It's just because the situation was so similar to something I'd experienced with Chris Savino himself. That's why at the moment I couldn't consider it for review, because I would just be too upset to do it, too mad. But that doesn't mean it's off it's off the list forever. Just for now, it's not going to be doable, because I don't want the show to go away. It employs lots of people. It makes money for Nickelodeon, and it's obviously people enjoy it. So I'm not some big crotchety bitch who's like, harasser and everything needs to go, burn it from the earth, that kind of thing. I respect what's going on.
That's what scares me. I feel like that will be a campaign soon. I mean, how many parents are going to want their kids to watch a show where the main, like, he directed every episode to this point? How would they feel about letting their kids watch a show of a guy that sexually assaulted women? That's what I was most scared about. And I got flack for it, because people were like, wow, I hate how you're putting so much focus on the show rather than the victims. And I'm like, where did you even get that? Where'd you get that from? I care about the victims, but right now my focus is on the show because it is literally in limbo right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the victims, they're gonna get their justice. I mean, they've been getting their justice right now.
Well,
But
I
the
guess.
show, well, I mean, keep in mind, they were listened.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Savino is not in the position that he's in right now, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them are gonna take him to court. So they're getting some justice, not getting all of it, but they're getting some, and they're being validated and heard, that's good. If a victim is heard, at least, you know, that I feel like, you know, there's something to be said there. If they easily could have been ignored, they could have been pushed away and their claims not even brought up. So some justice is being had.
Mm-hmm.
But in the context of the show, what's going to happen next? Will the execs feel so inclined because Chris Savino was an integral part of the show to cancel the show? And that's what I was scared of, because we're gonna destroy a show that has employed so many people, brought joy to many people's lives, all because of one bad apple.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, is that it's so easy for one bad person to make everybody else look bad. That's what happens with the abusers, and that's what happens with the victims too. So it's both sides. So I agree. I have no ill will towards the show itself. Okay, show didn't go around harassing people. The makers of the show didn't either, like the animators, voice actors,
writers.
Hopefully, I would like to say that with confidence. Yeah, so it's just when the creator of the show is rewarded with, so getting into the animation industry is so fucking hard to do, and getting a show made is even more hard to do. So the fact that someone who did these terrible things could be rewarded with something like that is what bothers me the most.
Yeah, that's very bothersome. You do shitty things, you go up in life. I mean, that makes people who actually do the right thing feel like shit. You know, people that do great things, yet they can't, or people who are good people that can't do great things because they propel shittier people up.
Exactly. You know? And the animation industry is like this big inbred feeding ground of, like, it's so hard to break into because most network executives and things like that, they want to go with what they know. They're very, very, very adverse to taking in new talent because it's such a gamble for them. So they keep a lot of the same people that they've already known for years and just give them more stuff to do, which in a way is good because it keeps the good creators around, but it also makes it very hard to purge the bad ones too. It's like, you know, from the early 90s Nickelodeon, like everyone who worked on Ren and Stimpy basically just got a free pass to do whatever they wanted in the animation industry. So it is an extremely elitist, inbred type of industry, and trying to get into it is just almost impossible for some people. But then try doing that as a woman, who are all like, women are already not really welcome necessarily in the animation industry unless they're in unless they're in reception-based jobs, so office reception, all that kind of stuff, animation, which is fine, or voice acting. It's very rare to see women as writers and directors and creators in animation, and it's even more rare to see women as big-name writers and directors in Hollywood movies. Like, it was like I Hate Everything's video on XXX or XXX or whatever, where he said, think of how many famous male directors you can think of off the top of your head. Alfred Hitchcock, James Cameron, Mel Gibson, there's shitloads of them. How many famous women directors can you think of off the top of your head?
Wait, is that a what's the word I'm thinking of?
It's not rhetorical.
Rhetorical. Is it a rhetorical question or you're asking me?
Yeah, can you think of anyone?
I think of two.
Okay.
Patty Jenkins and Catherine Bigelow.
Oh yeah, she's the one who made Zero Dark 30, right?
But keep in mind, it should not be the litmus test. I'm a cinephile. Of course I know about directors.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask the common person, if you were to ask the average person, they can tell you about Spielberg. They can tell you about Lucas.
Yeah.
They can tell you about J.J. Abrams, you know, big name, and then you ask them, okay, name a female director. Because no female director has ever directed a mainstream, like, blockbuster, appeal to everybody type movie. They normally make niche movies. Like The girl who directed 50 Shades of Grey.
Yes.
I mean, no one's gonna know her name. Hell, I don't even know her name. The only thing I know about her is she married Anthony Taylor Johnson, and Aaron Taylor Johnson. My bad.
Who's a dude?
Yeah, I thought of the dude before I thought of the wife.
Right.
I only
and James
know
Cameron's wife too. James Cameron's wife.
I feel like she stands out on her own now. I don't associate her with James Cameron. I think of her as Catherine Bigelow, the director, who done great films like The Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30, and Detroit. But again, I shouldn't be the litmus test because, again, being a cinephile, I know of her. And then Patty Jenkins. I feel like maybe Patty Jenkins might be opening the door for women to do more mainstream films that appeal to everybody because of Wonder Woman. So hopefully, maybe one day she can be a household name and people know about her. But before this, I knew her as the director of Monster, but nobody remembers Monster. Nobody, and just like that, nobody would remember Patty Jenkins. So you make a valid point there.
Yeah, well, it's like I want to make movies. I want to make Hollywood movies someday, but how the fuck am I supposed to do that if nobody will ever give you a chance? And it's not just women. I'm saying it's harder for women, but women and men. So if you getting back to the harassment part of this, if you get consideration from some guy who is like, I will give you a chance, I will give you consideration if you do these things for me, like meet me in private, maybe give me a whatever, do this for me, be my special friend, that kind of thing. Are you going to say no to that? If you get consideration from a big producer who's like, I will get you into this insanely difficult to enter industry if you give me a blowjob or something like that. Are you going to blow your chance? No pun intended. Are you going to blow your chance and risk never getting into that industry? Or are you just going to do it and keep your mouth shut about it and be successful? And even then, you might not be successful. So that's what I'm saying. Is this situation, it creates all these mind games, and it's so hard to reconcile how you feel, because you can internalize this shit thing that you did for the rest of your life, but if you're able to do the thing you want to do in life, is it a bad trade-off? Well, yes, it is, because they shouldn't be doing that in the first place. They should just be giving you consideration because you're talented. It shouldn't matter if you're able to give stellar blowjobs or anything like that. That's not the point. You should just be considered for your talent instead of trying to get in by being sexy or good looking, or, you give a mean anal or something like that. It's not right. It should never, it shouldn't even come to that. But of course it does. So, because that's the thing, is the people in power in the entertainment industry, they know that they can get away with this. So they're just going to keep doing it. They know that the only way that, this dumb blonde bimbo wants somebody to look at her script, huh? Well, I could get her to give me a great Ralph Johnson or something like that, and then just toss her script out when I'm done. What's she gonna do? Tell on me? No one's gonna believe her. That's one big reason why women don't talk about this, is because nobody's gonna believe them. If they tell someone in the entertainment industry, well, they're kind of all in on it in a way, so nobody's gonna believe it. You tell the police, there's no evidence. All you have is hearsay. So it's so fucking hard to talk about and to prove, and it's just frustrating as hell. So consideration from a more powerful person is a big reason why people don't talk about this if they're trying to get into the entertainment industry.
You feel good?
No, I'm pissed now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you said, and I feel like, keep in mind, the people in power at this moment, they are from a different generation. They're still stuck in their ways. I feel like when more of us, our generation, I call us the enlightened generation. Everyone calls us millennials. Fuck that noise. I feel like we're the enlightened generation. I feel like when more of us come to power, which, to be fair, might take us another 10, 15 years, but I feel like when more of us come to power, we're going to start seeing these major changes in ideologies and in practices. Because the old ways, they're being phased out. They will be gone very soon. And I'm just hoping for the day where we can, take Martin Luther King's speech and kind of just tweak it a little bit, where we judge people not for the content of their skin, their sex, gender, but by the content of their character and what they can bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Can they tell an interesting story? See, if I was an exec, but keep in mind, I'm a different person. I have different ideologies. But if I was an exec at this moment, I would solely judge picking some type of story or animated series and stuff based on how profitable it could be and what is the idea, what is the concept, and can I do something with it? You know, and I wouldn't have to ask for sexual favors. I wouldn't have to say, well, you know, if you go into the back room with me, maybe I'll give your piece a little look-see. You know, I would say, well, let me look at it. Let me see. I'll get back to you in a week and see whether or not it's something that I would want to promote, and then go from there. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, again, Soul, we're reaching a threshold right now where we're about to break through the roof, and then change is coming, you know? Yeah. And now that we're being more vocal about it, we can see it happening much faster, so.
Right. But it hurts. It hurts to have your head being smashed against the roof that hasn't broken yet. But it's gotta hurt.
Will break. It will break, though.
Every wound has to hurt before it heals. So, you know, you just gotta get through it. So I want to say too, I'm not trying to change the topic too much, but in terms of this coercion for consideration. So a lot of people say with this whole, oh, you have no proof, or men don't do this kind of thing, or, you know, you have no proof that men do this, or people do this to anybody trying to get into the industry. Well, I have proof. So in order to try and curb the, well, you're lying, there's no evidence claims about this, I'm not going to name any names because that's going to be counterproductive. All I can say is that this is a true story that happened to me. It's not graphic or anything like that, but it sucks, okay? And it's related to what we're talking about. So I have been trying to get animated concepts made for a long time, since I was like 17. I've gone through a whole bunch of people and producers and everything, and there was a local producer who, like I said, I'm not going to name names. This is not an attack on him as a person, but he was a local movie producer of sorts who said, hey, I'll come and listen to you. Just come out to Vancouver. So I drove all the way out to Vancouver to meet him. And he was super nice. At first, we had lunch together, and he would listen to all my ideas. He seemed like a very, very nice person. And he listened to me for about 40 minutes or so, and then he's like, come on, let's go. So he started taking me all around these places in Vancouver, which, keep in mind, I know Vancouver, like it's not that special to me, but he took me to all these like fancy places and everything like that. He was trying to dazzle me pretty much, and he's like, this could all be yours if you're successful in the industry. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, that's why I want you to listen to me and give me some consideration. So it's kind of uncomfortable at first, but just sort of went through with it. And then he took me back to his nice fancy hotel by the ocean and was like, well, go up to my room, go see what kind of room you can get with when you get consideration from people when you're successful. And I'm like, okay. Now, most people at that point would be like, well, don't go up to his room. But I was very young and stupid and naive back then. So I went up to his room, and yeah, it was nice. You know, it was a hotel room, whatever, nice, I guess. So I went back down really quickly. And he was there in the lobby, and he's like, okay, now let's go to the Arbor Center, which is like this big tower thing that with a restaurant on top in Vancouver. It's a popular tourist attraction. So he took me there, and he wanted me to order a drink, like something alcoholic, but I don't drink any alcohol at all, so I just got a Sprite. And then as we were talking some more, he started very subtly changing the topic, or the direction of the conversation to, he was saying like, well, you know, I have plans for the future too, and if you want consideration from me, if you want me to go through with your idea, I need you to do something for me. And I'm like, okay, what? And he's like, well, I need you, this is just, you know, obviously this isn't quote for quote, I don't remember exactly what he said, but the gist of what he said is that he wanted me to come to Las Vegas with him for a week to be his special friend. And I was like, whoa, okay, what? So in terms of, well, special friend, special girl, whatever he said, something like that. And I knew exactly what he meant at the time. So I kind of was like, whoa, okay, no, I'm not going to do that. I had enough sense to say no. And then he got a bit upset and he was like, well, maybe one of your friends will do it, you know, your girlfriends. And I was like, what the fuck? So I stood up, and as I was leaving, he kind of turned around and he looked at me and said, so you don't want your movie to be made? You don't want your cartoon to be made? I thought you were so serious about them. And I was just like, I wanted to turn around and just be like, well, just scream at him. But instead I just left. I left and I walked all the way back to the hotel. And luckily the hotel staff were nice enough to comp me for parking when I was there, because it was $20 parking. And I told them what was going on, and they gave me money for parking. So as I left, but the whole drive home, all I could think was just, well, I may have been smart enough to evade that situation, but if I had been desperate enough, I don't know, maybe I would have said yes. I don't know. Also, I felt this immense amount of guilt, because it was like, I may have been smart enough to escape that situation, but how many other girls did I condemn to fall for that same scheme because I didn't tell anybody? You know, it's not like he did anyone that did anything for illegal. He didn't do anything illegal, technically. You know, he didn't try anything. It was just what he said. And yeah, so I do know who this person is. I know what his name is, but this happened 3 years ago, just about. And, you know, the only person I ever told was my mom, but I never told any law enforcement or anything like that, because it was like, who's gonna believe me? You know, who the fuck's gonna believe me? So just, this is what I'm trying to say, is that this kind of stuff does happen in the entertainment industry all the time. And it's a lot more common than you think. But that's the thing, is I have no proof. How am I supposed to prove this story? It was just a conversation between me and an asshole producer who was taking advantage of a young girl who didn't know any better. So the lack of proof is not always, in this situation, a lack of evidence is not always a lack of action. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's just so many of us, we can't prove it, and therefore we stay quiet. And a part of me felt like maybe I deserved it, because it was like, well, this is just something you're going to have to get used to if you want to be successful in this industry. So many people, you know, they get into these situations they can't escape from, and it's because they don't want to risk being blacklisted, and they're so confident in their ability to succeed that they'll take any in that they can get, and that makes them do these horrible things. So maybe think about that next time you say to someone that there's no proof that somebody did it. Maybe consider there's no proof, because there is no proof at the moment. There's just a story and someone who is so afraid to say it for so long coming out and talking about it now, because the bravery of people can be proof sometimes, proof enough. So, yeah.
I agree. I mean, when you told me that story, I was speechless. So, and then, you know, I'm very sorry that happened to you, and it's just not fair, honestly. You know, you were there, and I remember you were telling me, I don't know if you said this because I had to help my mom with something, but I remember you were telling me that you felt guilty about this, that you felt like this was your fault.
Yeah, I did say that.
It is not your fault whatsoever. The fault lies in the person at power, because he had the responsibility to do the right thing. He knew better. He knew the appropriate thing to do. He ignored it. He decided to use his power, his situation against you in order to gain favors from you. Yeah. And you don't even know if he was even going to give your little story the time of day.
Yeah.
That's the type of power he held over you. So
exactly.
You're not at fault. That scumfuck is at a fault.
Yeah, but the way he did
known better.
The way he did it, it was almost like he had it down to a formula at that point. So listen first, take the girl around town and show her some nice, cool, fancy things that she couldn't normally have. Show her his hotel room to be like, wow, look at this. And then go and get her a little bit drunk, you know, and then pose this question. And, you know, at that point, if they're drunk a little bit or tipsy, it's going to be harder to refuse. So, Yeah, when I think about it, it does seem like he had done this 100 times before me. And you know what?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I should have been a little bit more suspicious at the time, but I was 19 and an idiot back then.
I mean, you were young. You were young. I mean, no one's gonna hold you at fault because you were young.
No, but when he asked me, when he messaged me and said that he was gonna consider me, he asked me for my driver's license, which I thought was a little strange, but that has my proof of age on it. So if he had got me out there and it turns out I wasn't 18 yet, because 18 is the age of consent. Sorry, 18 is the
Just
age
dropping
of
everything.
Yeah, 18 is the age of consent in British Columbia. So if he had seen I wasn't 18 yet, then he would have just been like, I ain't into
okay,
that.
I'm listening.
But I was
Bye-bye.
19 at the time, so yeah.
Gold mine.
Yeah, but so it's been 3 years since then. So I've checked his IMDb list. If I have the right guy, unfortunately, the IMDb page that I found him on doesn't have a picture of him because he's not an actor or famous director or anything like that. He's a producer, actually, a production designer.
A production designer?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure it's him because he is Canadian. The shows that are on his IMDb list they match what he said to me. He's still got stuff going well into 2017. So if he's still getting work, obviously, and if he's still doing these awful things to women who are more desperate and maybe a little less astute than me, they're falling for it. If he's still doing this, he's still getting away with it. But the thing is that I don't want to falsely accuse him because that IMDb page, I can't say for sure if it's him. There's no picture. So I don't want to be Keemstar and go around blaming the wrong person by accident. So that's why I'm not using his name. But if I have the right person, then he's still getting work and he's not paying for what he did. He's not being punished for his actions.
Do you remember what company he worked for?
Yes.
I
think so.
Do you think you can maybe file a report with the HR rep there about your situation? Because that's how a lot of people did it. They went to HR, they talked to them and stuff. Like with the whole Harvey Weinstein and also Andy Signor, they reached out to HR about all of this.
I think he runs his own production studio.
His own production studio.
Yes. If I'm correct about this, I think I am. Then yes, I'm pretty sure he runs his own production studio. In which case, that's not really gonna work. See, I've tried to scour some old emails to find proof of this, but I don't know. I can't seem to find it. Just yeah, I know. So it was in 2014, because at that point I was getting headshots and shit, and I was doing some small acting stuff and things, and that's when I was most desperate. So yeah.
Thanks for sharing your story. I know it was very difficult to talk about, and you were actually scared to share this story on your channel because you thought people were just gonna think you're trying to get attention. And I personally hate that excuse. It's an unfair excuse. I feel like generalization is the death of discussion. When we start generalizing people, then we stop having these discussions. We stop actually pushing forward on things that we need to talk about. That's why I hate to go down this route, but I just want to say this real quick. That's one of the reasons why I don't like the Black Lives Matter movement, because they make the generalization that all cops are bad, and I don't believe that. I feel like some cops use their powers incorrectly. Similar to like in Hollywood, a lot of producers use their powers incorrectly. They use it in order to have strength over other people and think that they can get away with all this stuff. But when we don't sit down and have a conversation and have a discussion as to what the problems are and what we can do to fix them, we go nowhere. It's just two sides yelling back at each other, yelling back and forth at each other, and nothing is resolved. So sorry, I didn't mean to go down that route.
I understand. It's kind of similar. It's the same sort of argument, with Black Lives Matter, with gun violence. mass shootings, all this kind of stuff. It all kind of falls into the same category of it's difficult to talk about, so we're not going to.
And that just stops discourse. Like, do they not realize that discussions lead to change? We need to talk about this stuff. And it's even hard for like someone who is black to say, "Oh, I'm not with the Black Lives Matter," because what are they going to call you? Coon? You fucking race traitor? What, you're siding with the cops now, huh? You want to kiss the white man's ass? I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying we need to sit down and have a conversation. Just like, if you were to say, like, you accuse the producer, like, "Oh, you just wanted the attention."
That's why I didn't use any names. If I wanted attention for myself, I would have been like, it's this guy. It's this guy. He did it. Go do that to him. I'm not fucking Keemstar, all right? I don't witch hunt people. Even when, even so in April, I had a similar situation happen where people were going to, they sort of dangled. I was going through some financial problems, back in March, April-ish time, and I needed some extra money, and some assholes tried to take advantage of the situation by offering me money to do certain things on some of my videos. So one of them said, like, he would pay me $500 to do a video in a thong, and one of them was, asking me my bra size, and just very suggestive posts and everything. But even in that video, I was so upset, but I didn't use their names, because that doesn't solve the problem. That would just send I wouldn't say legion of fans, I would say the small group of fans who are concerned about it, that would just send them their way, and that's not going to solve anything. So I wasn't doing it for attention. It just needed to be said. So, yeah.
So one last thing that I want to touch on, and then we're going to answer a couple questions for as long as we can.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this article I read on the LA Times. I'll put the link in the description for you guys if you want to read. It's a very interesting article. It's about women in animation industry demand change in Hollywood amid sexual harassment scandal. You said you read this already, right?
I did, yeah.
It's a good. I think it's a really good article. But there's one part of the article I wanted to draw my attention to, and if there's something about the article you want to make mention to too, tell me, because I think this is a really good article.
You know what? The only thing I can say about it is this letter to animation companies is that it's great that it involves women, but it would be nice if they had both genders.
Actually, that's what I was gonna say. Like, the second to last paragraph in the article is said, one solution to the problem is to actively hire more women, and I don't think it's about hiring more women. It's about hiring the right people for the right jobs. Maybe even screening their mentalities. I mean, you could do these tests. It's not about just because you have more women doesn't mean that there's going to be less sexual harassment. I mean, who knows? I mean, at this point, it hasn't been said, but we don't know if there's been some females who sexually harassed either other females or male.
I'm sure there is.
It's just so far we're only seeing men at the forefront. But I'm telling you right now, females do it too. They might not do it as much, but they do it. So I don't think hiring more women is the fixing of the problem. You hire people that can do the job. If it doesn't matter if they're male or female, just get the people that can do the job. It's
like Prog Rock Dude said, it should be a meritocracy.
Agreed.
That's what it needs to be. That's what people thought YouTube was, that it should be a meritocracy, but it's fucking not.
No, it's not. When Jake Paul is trending all over the place, it's not meritocracy.
Yeah. So yes, what the be-all end-all solution to this problem is total and absolute equality for everybody, obviously. But since we're not capable of that, we have to find some sort of compromise. And hiring more women would be nice, but yeah, not as a solution to this problem. Just as a solution to representation in the industry as a whole, but not to solve the sexual harassment problem. Getting rid of men is not the right idea, because then the men will be upset. And like real feminists will be like, well, who cares if men are upset? But yes,
I find it funny how they say that and they don't realize the bitter irony of what they're saying.
Exactly.
Imagine if a man said that.
Yeah, who cares if women are upset?
Yeah,
exactly. So it's important to make sure that everybody is satisfied in a way that works for everyone. In a perfect
Yes.
world, obviously, everyone would treat each other with respect, and people in high places would be in high places because
They
of their
deserved it.
because they deserved it. Yeah, because of their talents. But since this isn't a perfect world by any means, any sort of means, we just have to make do with what we have, but we can make some changes. So in terms of representation in the industry, yes, hire more women. It's great. They only make up about 20% of the animation industry. But in terms of the harassment cases, getting rid of men is not going to help. Because
That's not the problem. You
yeah,
know?
the more men feel victimized, the harder they're going to push with their power. So
Exactly.
yeah, you need to find some sort of compromise that keeps everyone safe and content. Nobody should be afraid to come to work, and nobody should be afraid to speak the truth about other people. And the fact that people are means that we're obviously still regressing as a society. So we really we need to have two solutions to two different problems. So yes.
In my opinion, I feel like we just need to have a conversation. We need to have open discussion on both ends. We need to be able to hear both sides. I don't mind third wave feminists saying what they're saying. I just want them to come to the table so we can talk and hash things out and maybe even see if we can reach some common ground. But if the other side is unwilling to hear one side, again, you might as well just be yelling at the wall because nothing's gonna change.
And if
You might as well be preaching to the choir.
If you take the power away from one side, they're just gonna come back for your power when you have it. So you have to dole out power in equal shares. You can't. That's the disparity of power is what causes the problem. So taking the power away from the people who have it isn't going to solve anything. Like it's the problem with gun violence. It's the problem with, like you said, Black Lives Matter. It's the problem with sexual harassment. It's the problem with anything which is unfair and unsafe. Is that one side has power, so they need to dole it out equally. Agreed. Not just take it away from them. Because when you take away the baby's lollipop, it's going to cry really loud, it's going to kick, and it's going to scream until you just give it the lollipop back. So just, how about you split the lollipop in half, you take one half, and you give the other half back. Now you both have lollipop, and neither of you have a reason to cry. So stop crying, for fuck's sake.
I was gonna say something, but I totally blanked out on it now.
Oh, sorry.
No. It's not because of you. I was thinking about it early on. I'm like, wait, there's something I wanted to address, and now I forgot it. Okay, so I guess for the next 30 minutes, we'll be answering questions in the comment section. Are you on the video, Sol?
Yeah.
Do you see the comments?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So, guys, I told you guys that this was going to be an open discussion, that we're all going to be able to share with this. So we want to hear from you guys now. I know Prog Rock has been saying a lot of things, as well as Miss Ninjani. So, yeah, definitely ask us questions or make some statements, and then we'll read them and we go from here. Yeah, it was a good chat.
Yeah. It wasn't too shrill or anything like that.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Don't be condescending. That's what I was gonna say. I feel like when people try to talk over other people or feel like, well, I'm smarter than you, then you have to listen to me. When you put somebody down, when you talk down to them, they're gonna be more unwilling to listen to you. And I see that a lot on both sides, by the way.
Yeah.
Where people are condescending and they want to talk down to people instead of trying to relate to people and meet on an even footing. That's what I was gonna say about what you were saying. So.
Comic Book Fanatic 3893 says people should share the stream. I very much encourage that because I'm not saying that this video is going to, break down the wall or anything like that. But the further
we're going to change the world, Soul.
Yeah, exactly. The further this video goes, the more people will see it, and the more it will keep the discussion going. So, if only to keep the discussion going, it would be great if you could share this video. It would be very much appreciated. Not everyone has the patience to sit through a video this long. I get it. I understand. But, it's important to keep the discussion going.
There's a comment you should read from Tsubaki Sato.
I am very brave, Saul, to explain your story. Thank you. I appreciate it. I was gonna originally do a video on my channel, just me talking, but I didn't want to have to put up with all of the, oh, there's no evidence, there's no proof, you're doing this for attention
Toxic
comments.
Toxic comments.
And normally I can just kind of be like, whatever, who cares? But since this is about a very personal, situation, I just didn't want any of that. So, I mean, obviously, sorry, people are free to say what they want. Yeah, people are free to say what they want, but that doesn't mean it's not going to hurt.
That's why I invited her over here to my channel, to give her a platform to tell her story and express her opinion without people condemning her on the spot. One thing I love about you guys, my subscribers, is that you're all are very open-minded and you're willing to hear things out. You may not always agree, but you'll hear it out. So I thank you guys for listening to her story and being very civil about it.
Yes, thank you.
There's a comment I want to read from Cosmic Goatee. How do you feel about massive studios versus small groups of friends in terms of animating together? I'm trying to think. Do you know what he means by that?
I do. So I actually think that having small groups of animators creating their own content is very beneficial, because not only it helps them develop their own skills, but most animation companies and networks will not take any concepts without some sort of visual reference. I know that from experience, because I am not an artist or an animator, so I could have a billion scripts, but who cares? So it's good for that, and also it fosters a sense of camaraderie between animators and artists who are normally very not uncivil towards each other. I've noticed, so it's good. But animation industries and networks are important for getting these concepts developed more significantly and shown to a wider audience. So I would say both are beneficial and both are good in their own ways. But certain things about companies need to change in order for them to be better.
Well, there you go. I feel like you'd be more inclined to answer that, because I was kind of confused by the phrasing of the question. I don't really work in the animation industry that much. I would be more in the voice acting category.
Yeah.
I would be in the animating category. You, on the other hand, I believe, didn't you do animation?
I have my own studio now, actually, my own animation incubation studio. Yeah.
I want to see it work now. I'm curious.
Well, it's all going to be in-house until we have something definitive, but some stuff was being prepared for.
If you need a voice actor, I'm just.
Hey.
I'm
looking for voice actors too.
Right here. I have the voice of an angel, so just say.
Yeah.
But do let me know. That's pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
if you make something, do let me know. I'm going to share it, of course.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, there's another question.
There was.
Okay, I want to answer this one for No Name real quick. This will not be taken down. I'm keeping all of these videos up. I'm just not going to monetize them at all, because I feel like I don't want to milk off of the controversy. I just want to have a discussion.
Exactly.
I said as much in my video. This isn't about, yes, because I know that this is going to get many people to click on it. I know it's going to get a lot of views, but that's not, like, I didn't do it for the views. I did it for the discussion. I did it so that we could talk about this.
Right.
If I could make money off of it, that'd be great, but I'm not worried about the money. I want to talk. That's what I am. Here's a good one.
Oh, can I just say one real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go.
Bonsai Tron says, question to you both. With the recent stream of sexual harassment cases coming to light, do you think that the film industry will change in a decade's time?
Yes.
I would say gradually, yes, but like you said, Critic, you said that the old generation needs to die off first, and I think that's key to getting any sort of significant change in the industry, is to have the old generation die off. I mean, look at the fucking panel of people on the Academy Awards voting list. They're like all stodgy, crap.
Floogies and old guys and women.
Yeah, so yes, the old generation really needs to die off first before any sort of significant change can be done. Because
that's pretty cold. You're gonna kill all the foogies.
That's right. I'm going to kill all fogies.
You know what you do to just kill them? You just go up to them and say, "I'm your granddaughter."
Ugh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I would say that it will change, but it's just gonna take a while.
Yeah, but we're seeing the slow changing of the guard. There's always a changing of the guard. You know, back in the old days, they used to not let a lot of minorities and women take on lead roles. That what?
I'm sorry, just that comment. That's dark. So
That
Sorry.
Where's that called?
Giovanni Orellana said that's
That's pretty clever.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there's going to be a changing of the guard, so don't worry about it. Here's a good one. I was going to answer this earlier. Is Nickelodeon going to cancel both the Loud House and the Loud House movie? Because I really don't want them to get the can, because I love the Loud House. Pat, that's what I'm worried about the most at this moment, because you know, if this controversy gets any bigger and if more women start coming forward and adding to the allegations, they might be put into a position where they don't want anything to do with Chris. And since his show is the biggest show on Nickelodeon, that is problematic. You know, I'm sure they'll wipe out his name like in the created by section because they don't want his name to be associated with the show anymore. But I don't know, because he had such a huge presence in the show. He directed every single episode. So that's the only thing that I'm truly worried about. That's the only thing I'm truly concerned about, is that Nickelodeon will, you know, take brass measures and cancel it. Cancel one of the best shows of the 2010s, in my opinion. One of the most progressive shows of the 2010s without being annoyingly progressive. Like one of the best episodes I've ever seen in my life, I kid you not, was the episode where all of the Louds talk about their love, like their crushes, and then you got that big reveal at the end where Luna actually likes a girl. And I loved how very subtle it was. They didn't make it a big deal. And I was like, that's progress without having to shove down progress down your throat. I love that shit. And I would hate to see that get taken away. I also really liked the episode where you never seen the show?
No, I'm not really.
Lincoln had a girlfriend, or Ronnie Ann. Her name was Ronnie Ann. I love that there was an episode focused solely on Ronnie Ann and her dysfunctional family. And they, you know, and it wasn't like they were all, and keep in mind, they're Hispanic. They didn't do any cliches with the Hispanic family, and it was almost like they were setting up for a spinoff with her family, and I would love to see that. And it's very interesting to see a show take a major character and then just take them out of the show and put them in somewhere else, because that's the whole plot of that episode, was about moving on and adjusting to your new circumstances. They easily could have had the episode end where she moves back and she's going to be with Lincoln, but no, they made her stay. And I like that, because not a lot of shows are brave enough to do something like that. And to take that show off the air would be a huge disservice to the fans and to animation history, in my opinion. So,
well, and also to the people working on it as well, who don't deserve to be laid off just because the person who made the show is a asshole.
Exactly.
Well, sorry, I should not say is an asshole. I should say has done asshole things.
Asshole-ish things.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm just hoping nothing bad for the Loud House comes of this. I'm hoping it still gets its movie, because I really want to see it. I'm hoping the show still keeps on going. I have a feeling that we won't be seeing the show on air for a while because, you know, this situation.
Yeah.
So that's disappointing, but as long as it comes back, I think I'll be fine. So, but dude, Soul, you really need to see that show. It's so good, man.
I don't think I could watch it now.
I know.
Maybe later.
I know. I just saw. It's so good, though.
I know, but people.
I remember
they were bothering me about reviewing it for a while, and it's like, shut up! Right now, I'm doing Jimmy Neutron, so one Nickelodeon show at a time.
Jimmy Neutron, really?
Yeah, and I'm falling behind on that. I wanted to do Planet Sheen for Halloween.
Stop.
I'm doing Planet Sheen, but
you are not doing Planet Sheen. You stop.
Oh
no.
Do you have the camera on me? No, you don't.
No.
Well, I have the DVD in my hands right here, so it's happening whether you like it or not.
No. You're not. You're gonna regret watching that. Did you spend money on that?
there's no like good rips of it online. What do you want from me? I had to get it. Hey, nothing could be worse than Where the Dead Go to Die. That is the worst thing I've ever seen. But anyway, we're getting off topic.
I don't think I've seen that. Yeah, we're getting off topic. Sorry.
It's Sloan the Female Otaku. You forgot Planet existed?
Because it sucks. It's a terrible show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go off like that, guys. I'm sorry. Let's get back to the topic at hand and ask questions again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there
sorry.
was a that I missed that I wanted to read.
Do you guys remember Mr. Meaty, says Emerald Princess?
I remember Mr. Meaty.
I do too. I never liked it.
I don't think anybody liked it. I don't even know how that thing got greenlit into a series. I hated the shorts that they did for it too. Oh, here's a question Emerald Princess asked, and I would love to hear your opinion on this first. Why do rapists and pedophiles serve short / non-existent sentences in prison?
Okay, that is a whole nother topic to talk about. I would say that maybe one of the main reasons is because it's the same sort of thing as harassment. There's very little physical evidence a lot of the time, and also nobody wants to talk about the situation, and also it's very hard to hold the abusers responsible for what they do in terms of like length of prison time, where it's like, oh, you murdered a guy? Well, it's right there. You obviously murdered a guy, so you're going to go away for that. But with pedophiles, it's like, well, we can always reform them. It's like, no, you can't. You can't reform a pedophile. You're not Sergeant Hatred. You can't do that. But that's the thing is that this, in my opinion, it seems like society is more willing to forgive the pedophile than someone who like smokes weed or murders someone, which is ridiculous. No one should be forgiving of that, but whatever.
She said everything that I probably think of the topic too. But I don't think, one thing I noticed, like rapists and pedophiles, they don't serve short terms.
Oh,
if someone's
they do.
charged of rape and pedophilia in America, if they get convicted, they serve long term. And keep in mind too, in prison, rapists and pedophiles are the ones that are the most put on watch, because if there's something that criminals in jail hate, they hate rapists and they hate child abusers, and they will prove that through means. Every case that I've ever heard about a rape case, well, I guess the one last year is an example of a short, non-existent sentence. But other rape cases that I've heard of that got convictions, the rapists went away for a while, as well as pedophiles. They went away for a while. There's something that everyone keeps bringing up. Do you know the show Clarence?
Yes, I am familiar with Clarence.
They keep talking about Skylar Page.
Yes.
I don't know anything about Clarence, so you probably might need to tell me about that show.
I know a little bit about it, but yeah, the creator of Clarence was also brought up on similar allegations as Chris Savino, and he was fired from Cartoon Network as well. But the show kept going, so...
Is the show good?
I do not know. I have not seen a full episode before. I don't really care for the visual design, but that's the only comment I can say. I don't care for the visual design.
It looks very weird. It looks very weird.
It looks like Over the Garden Wall meets Adventure Time, but covered in mashed potatoes.
True. Over the Garden Wall. That's a big praise right there, though.
Oh man, I love Over the Garden Wall. But anyway, that's
Sorry, we keep getting off topic because I haven't talked to Soul in a long time, guys. Okay, give me a break.
Yeah. More about the rapist's jail time is, in comparison to other people's crimes, rapists and pedophiles do get less jail time than other crimes do in comparison. So yeah, a lot of people who are pedophiles will get much less jail time than someone who is a murderer or even like a adult rapist, just because like I said, it's difficult to keep them convicted when society is very confident that it can reform them, even though it's not really possible. So yeah, they have the whole sexual predator watch thing, in that, you know, you have to say that you are a sexual offender, whatever, but that you're still allowed to not be in jail. That's not being in jail. So we're just talking about pure jail time, is that rapists and pedophiles on average spend much less time in jail than people who are in there on drug charges and murder and car-related felonies.
That is an interesting statistic. I have to look more into that then.
I might be off.
I need to do my research, honestly.
Yeah, I might be slightly off with the numbers, but I do know for a fact that pedophiles and rapists get, on average, it depends on where you are too, like in the States or if you're in Canada or the UK or whatever. So it's by country. It's kind of by state, actually.
Oh, Canada.
Hey, Canada's great.
Yeah, sure it is.
Sure it is.
Yeah, Canada's
Sure,
great.
it's amazing.
It is. It's great.
You maple syrupy drinking motherfucker. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Wow.
Oh, there's a question here.
Wow.
I've heard that CH Greenblatt said on Tumblr that if he makes another show, he won't make it for the usual kid channel like Nick, CN, etc. anymore. Do you think other creators should do the same? I actually I want to chime in on this. I think he should make shows on like Netflix, Hulu, like more streaming sites. That's what more animators are starting to do. And I think it would give them more free range to do what they want to do. You know, Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, they both have been very, what's the word I'm thinking of? So,
well, I don't
constricting.
know.
They've been creatively constricting with their creators, saying, constrictive. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, they've been very constrictive with their creators, whereas I feel like a company like Netflix or Hulu might give them more range to be creative, or Amazon Prime too, give them more free range to be creative.
Yeah, I'd say as long as they have good ideas that will work in the context of where they'd want to put them on, like an Adult Swim, Netflix, Amazon Prime, like you said, then they can do that. Like JG Quintel is making his own adult animated series now, which is what I always thought regular show should have been. It felt like it was being held back a bit by its child show.
Didn't it start off as an adult show?
With the H, dude. Well, it was like Dan Versus, where it was like almost an adult show. Like,
yeah, because I mean, I saw the not the pilot, but like his little project he did in college.
Yeah,
and it was about two guys smoking weed, and then they start tripping balls.
Doing LSD. They take LSD. And one of them turns into
my point.
One of them turns into a gumball machine, and that's where the idea for
and doesn't one of them turn into the bird, right?
Yeah, Mordecai. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So JG Quintel is making an adult series, and it looks really good. Alex Hirsch is working with Fox now to make a more adult-oriented series, which again, with Gravity Falls, it almost was an adult animated series.
It could have been.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't be I think personally it would have been a good PG-13 show.
Acid is LSD, Mr. Andy. Acid is LSD.
Or is it?
Yes, it is. Yes, because like the chemical name for LSD is lysergic acid, which is where the acid comes from. So.
Oh shit, guys! Nerd alert! Nerd
there
alert.
You go. So yeah, as long as they have a good idea in their head, then they sure that'd be fine to have. Yeah.
Do you know when? Do you have any news about Alex Hirsch and when he's gonna make that show, or is it just still up in the air about what he's doing?
I don't know. There's no news on it yet. He's probably on an NDA for now, so that's
damn. Fine. I really want to. I want to know what his next project is because I loved Gravity Falls so much.
I know, me too.
It's probably my second favorite Disney Channel original animated series.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite animated series of all time.
Favorite of all time?
Oh, yeah.
Even better than Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
I know, it's hard.
No, it's not hard for me. I can say without any shadow of a doubt that yes, it is, because I find many aspects of The Last Airbender unappealing. But that's another topic.
You know what? I'm kicking you out of this chat, actually. How do I do that? Let me see.
No.
Well, everyone say bye to Soul. She's never coming to this channel again.
Don't. There's
an interesting question for you, actually. From Jordan Ellie.
Yes.
Where do you think fanboying / girling goes too far?
It goes too far when you have to know every single last thing about the person you're fanboying or girling over, or the thing you're fanboying or girling over. When you dedicate your life to it, you sacrifice other things. And when you take it too far, like writing creepy fan fiction, or you try to get in touch with the creators or the person themselves, when you send them creepy gifts, when you won't stop bothering them, and just, when you convince someone to commit suicide because they didn't draw the characters as chubby like they normally are,
Well, I feel like that wasn't that a reference to something? Like somebody did that. Who did that?
It was Steven Universe.
Someone committed suicide because the character wasn't chubby enough?
No. So it was someone who was an artist who drew their versions of the characters from the show, and the Steven Universe, the characters are sort of more chubby-ish than normal. They're not super thin or anything like that. So she drew these characters as thin instead of chubby, and the fucking community just exploded on her to the point where she had to shut down her account and almost commit suicide.
That's fucking terrible.
Because of the harassment she was getting.
That is terrible.
Yeah, that's when it goes too far. That is when it goes way too far. But
or like the Rick and Morty fans. Let's not forget what they did.
What did they do? Well,
give me my Szechuan sauce.
Yeah.
I saw this one where the guy's like on the counter. He's like, "Where's my Szechuan sauce? A pickle Rick." I'm like, "Oh Jesus Christ!"
Yeah, it's like Rick and
that cannot be more cringier.
Yeah.
If you were dressed up in a pickle Rick suit.
I want to keep liking Rick and Morty, but how am I supposed to say I like Rick and Morty without someone being like, "Oh, wubba lubba dub dub, pickle
wubba dub dub"?
And it's like, shut up. I like the show for the characters and the stories and, the situations, everything like that. I don't like it for the fucking memes. But then since, you know what? I'm actually going to be doing a whole big video about this for my new segment.
You should have me cameo where I'm like, "I'm Pickle Rick."
No, you know what? Maybe that I'm starting a new segment this coming week. I was gonna start it this week called Talking Tuesdays, but I was having mega diarrhea shits, so I couldn't.
Thanks for telling us that.
Yes,
I really wanted to know that.
So yeah, it's gonna be coming this Tuesday. But the first topic is gonna be can memes ruin cartoons? So It's going to be like a discussion thing. So if you want to do that with me and you want to get someone else, like have a three-way discussion about that.
Oh, I have the perfect person for that then.
Yeah, ask them. Well, we can have a three-way discussion then about our memes ruining cartoons. Because in my opinion, it's like a quote from Simpsons from Reverend Lovejoy. It's, "Ooh, short answer, yes with an if. Long answer, no with a but."
True. I mean, I guess we'll have this conversation later, but
yeah,
that is a very interesting topic to talk about, actually.
Well, that's why I want to talk about it. Originally, Talking Tuesdays is going to be just me, but hey, let's turn it into a podcast. Let's have some discussions, because just a discussion with me is lame.
I mean, you could have a discussion with your fans,
Well, I would have to do that live, and I don't like doing Q&A sessions live anymore and stuff like that. I stopped doing it after the 100th episode.
People are being weird in the comment section?
Well, it just got to be a little bit too much. But yeah, if we wanted to pre-record video,
that works for me. That works for me.
Fuck yeah! Okay, well, anyway, more questions. So
there was a good one that we skipped.
Let's go back up.
Oh wait, Wander Over Yonder made a person commit suicide too?
I've never heard of that.
I'd never heard of that either.
Because Wander Over Yonder that fan base is super innocent that I've seen. Very innocent.
I've never heard of an incident from them. Like, I heard about the Steven Universe fan base going awry. I've heard
the
Undertale, Rick and Morty,
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh God! Thank God that one's dead.
Bronies.
I'm quite surprised the Bronies did not show up in mass when came out.
My Little Pony movie. Yeah, I made a comment about that. How the movie came out like 4 years too late.
Exactly right.
I actually spoke with one of the animators who works at DHX Media. She worked on the My Little Pony movie, and she gave me a bit of interesting insight as to Hasbro's insane controlling hand on the script and how it was rewritten multiple times, and how this movie took way too long to make, and like every second someone would come from Hasbro and say, "It needs this, it needs that, you need to do this, you need to do that."
See, when you have too much too much corporate meddling, you ruin the overall appeal of the series. I bet you it was them that's like, we need to have the biggest stars voicing these characters. Let's get Zoe Saldana. Come on in.
Well, to be fair, they're not.
Emily Blunt. We need them.
You know what bothers me, though, is that on all the advertising material, like on the posters and stuff, they had all the names of the celebrities in the movie and not the names of the actual cast. Like
where's Tara Strong?
Exactly, because they're not famous. You know, they're not Hollywood
They did the
famous.
same thing. They did the same thing, though, with Ratchet and Clank. I even watched the credits of Ratchet and Clank, and the main voice actors for Ratchet and Clank were the last ones to get their credits. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're the main voice actors. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's.
But Paul Giamatti needs to be the first one billed, right? Okay, yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
great. You fuckers.
Michael Howard says, thoughts on Pig Boat Banana Cricket and co-creator Johnny Ryan? I got nothing, man. Sorry.
I have no idea what that is. I got a question here. Official AC, which is better, Star versus the Forces of Evil or DuckTales 2017?
I haven't seen DuckTales 2017, so I'm gonna automatically have to go with Star versus, but that might not be my opinion forever.
That's a hard one because I think DuckTales 2017 is really good. It might be one of the best reboots I've ever seen because they took everything that made the first one great and then they added to it. And there's a much more consistent narrative. It's not episodic, it's almost arc-like because now after the first episode we find out that they have a mother and they're kind of trying to find their mother. That's the last thing I really remember. But I'm actually pretty curious to see where they're gonna go, what direction they'll take the show. So yeah.
Anything else?
I think we're gonna wrap it up in 2 minutes. So I guess last words, Sloan. What do you have to say? Or Sorry.
Well, I know
last words, Soul.
I know that we sort of ended this discussion on more of a lighthearted note, but you know, for everyone who watches this in the future, it doesn't mean we are trying to trivialize the topic that we were talking about. I just like to end stuff. We like to end stuff on lighter notes. But yeah, so if you agree with any point we made in this discussion video, please share it, just so we can keep the discussion going. As Critic said, he's not monetizing this, so it's not for money or anything like that. We would just appreciate keeping the discussion going. And, you know, if you feel strongly about this topic, talk to somebody about it. You know, if you know someone who has been harassed, or if they know someone who's been harassed, just all I could say is just keep the discussion going, because if we let it go like so many other of these claims have done in the past, then nothing will have been achieved at all. So just keep the discussion going, guys.
Well said. I don't need to add anything to that. I guess the only thing I'm going to add is that I will be carrying on this conversation over on Twitch. My buddy Patrick and I are actually going to delve more into, again, sexual harassment and assault when it comes between, like, from women. Or God, I can't even word my phrases right. Phrase my wording right. We're gonna go into more discussion about sexual harassment and how it affects both men and women, and then other topics as well in that vein. I'm going to talk to him more about it. I don't know if Patrick is still in the chat. If you are, Pat, maybe put a link to the Twitch stream in the chat right now. Pat, if you're there. I don't know if he is. But I want to take this time to thank Soul for joining me on this. I really could not imagine doing this by myself. I'm glad you joined. I'm glad you shared your story, your personal story about what you've been through. And,
yeah, I appreciate you inviting me too. I think it was a lot easier to talk about this sort of stuff with you as opposed to doing it alone.
Exactly. It's more easier when you can talk to people who are willing to listen and somebody that's there as a support. You know, when you're talking in a dark room by yourself, it's never a comforting feeling. You probably feel more alone. So,
yeah.
So I thank you for coming. I thank you all for watching. And like Soul said, please share this video. You know, we want to keep this discussion going. We want to hear what people have to say about this. And what I do want to know, what do you guys think about the Loud House now, as it stands right now? Do you have a different opinion of the show based on what its creator has done, or do you also believe in separating the art from the artist, and you still think it's a really great show and it doesn't deserve to be hated on because of the actions of its creator? Do comment below and let us know. I will put a link to Sloan, or so I keep saying Sloan. I'm sorry.
Well, she was here briefly.
Well, no, because you and Sloan's names are very close.
Yeah.
Sloan.
Well, it's Saul actually, not Soul.
Saul, thank you.
Thank you for correcting me.
Everyone says Soul, so I get it, but it's Saul.
Saul, okay. I have Saul. Thank you for correcting me. Where was I going with this?
You're just saying thank you to everyone.
Right. So yes,
you were saying link to channel. Is that?
Oh yes, I was gonna put a link to EYEOFSO'S channel. So please go show her some love and support as well. Again, thank you guys for watching. And as always, if you'd like to see more videos of this channel, be a part of the Black Critic crew, hit that subscribe button below. Like this video, really enjoyed it. I'm Tony Wilder II, the Black Critic Guy. I will be seeing you guys soon on Twitch. But until then, peace, YouTube.